Hey there, Seahawks fans. Before we get into today's show, I wanted to let everybody know that the Jamal Adams Seahawks jerseys are finally available. You can check them out at chatsports.com/Jamal Adams. Go there while they still have supplies in stock. They just got released, so you should be fine, but don't wait around. Get the jersey for the latest Seahawks superstar. That link will be in the comments and in the description. Now, with Jamal Adams' trade official and all of that in mind, safety spots are set in stone, right? Going to be Jamal Adams, going to be Quandre Diggs? Probably. Or at least he's going to be on the field. The question now becomes, who's the nickel corner, and can you get Marquise Blair on the field? Is that a path the Seahawks can figure out? They could go the big nickel route, 3 safeties on the field at a time, but maybe Seattle, and this was floated by Sports Illustrated, and I'm inclined to agree with it, maybe you put Diggs or Blair in that nickel role, and Blair hasn't done much of it, but I think he has the skill set to at least experiment there. You could even potentially try out, maybe Quandre Diggs goes to that nickel corner role. It is a need for Seattle. Now, Diggs was great at free safety. I honestly don't want to get away from that. He fared so well in that role. I'd honestly prefer to keep him at free safety, but you could get creative. You could go big nickel, put Jamal Adams almost at the linebacker position. Imagine Bobby Wagner and Jamal Adams both on the field right next to each other. Oh my God, that's terrifying. But if you want to get your 5 best defensive backs on the field, that's clearly Griffin, clearly Jamal Adams, clearly Quandre Diggs, I would argue Marquise Blair might be a better experiment at least than Ugo Amadi. Now, you guys know who have watched this show so far as we've built this up. I like Amadi. Now, he got some chances last year, was up and down. But at minimum, he's going to be a good special teams player. Maybe you don't want him as a full-time nickel corner. If you're not going to sign someone, in order to get my best players on the field, I would strongly consider either Diggs or Blair in that role. But I also want to hear from you guys. Who do you want at nickel corner? Is it Amadi? Is it Blair? Is it Diggs? Is it somebody, Logan Ryan maybe, who isn't on the roster? I want to hear from you, so scroll on down to the pinned comment, cast your votes there. Oh, by the way, if you get the ad break here on YouTube, perfect time to do it. And that link to the Jamal Adams jerseys, it'll be replied from us at that pinned comment. To Antonio Brown now, who has been suspended for 8 games, which might just spell the end of his chances of joining the Seattle Seahawks. Because A, he's already going to miss half the season, and B, he's also still under NFL investigation for the sexual assault accusation he's been dealing with. So it's 8 games minimum, possibly more. Now, Brown has been linked, and I'm sure will continue to be linked to the Seattle Seahawks, but a suspension plus lingering uncertainty plus the whole retirement, not retirement thing doesn't go well. Impact-wise, he'd be a great addition to Seattle, who's clearly all in right now in the middle of this window with quarterback Russell Wilson, only barely on the wrong side of 30. And he'd be a perfect number 3 receiver because Antonio Brown would really be a borderline number 1 receiver. And Lockett, Metcalf, and AB, if AB's head is on straight, is one of the best trios, if not the best trio in the NFL. In fact, I think it actually would be the best trio. The issue is he's not trustworthy. You can't trust him at all. So I don't know what's going to end up happening here with Antonio Brown. I will use his initials for this one. Would you sign him? A for yes, B for no. I wouldn't. I think it's too much of a locker room issue. He's too much of a problem. If I were Seattle, I would much rather choose to instead pursue a Josh Gordon, a player that team has been linked to repeatedly. So for Seattle, I'd go pick him up quickly. It's a simple B for no for me. Now, Seahawks fans, if you haven't already, hit that big red button and subscribe. If you're watching on our main NFL channel, it's youtube.com/SeahawksTV. The link is in the description and in the comments as well. We have just launched our Seahawks channel, and it is the fastest growing one in chat sports history. So if you're a Seahawks fan and you want daily videos, if you haven't already, hit that big red button and subscribe today. Let's go over now to Damon Harrison, who I think makes sense for Seattle. And the Athletic floated the idea of Harrison joining the Seahawks, and I'm for it. It would fill a needed defensive tackle. Now, it doesn't provide pass rush, which still remains the biggest need for the Seattle Seahawks team, although Adams will help in that area too. Harrison doesn't fix that need. He's not a pass rusher. He is a run stopper. But even as you look through his NFL career, there's been a little bit of impact in the passing game, enough that he could be maybe not a pocket penetrator, but a pocket pusher, someone who can force the interior to kind of collapse and free up other players. And when you look at the defensive line for Seattle, they got like one of those guys. We'll talk about Jarran Reed here later on. I like him, don't get me wrong. I'm a big Poona Ford fan, a little bit undersized, but he's a good run stopper. You could use another guy, though, especially if you're going to run a bunch of base defense and you want to have some run stoppers on there. Having a rotation of Ford and Reed and Harrison and, frankly, probably L.J. Collier on passing downs, that's intriguing. That makes me feel better about at least the interior of that defensive line. So should Seattle sign Damon Harrison? Type 1 for yes or type 0 for no. Now, of course, defensive end might be a bigger issue, but could Jadeveon Clowney, long linked to the Seattle Seahawks, actually head to an NFC West rival? How about Clowney and the 49ers? Wait, what now? Yeah, it's the report from whatever pick6.com is. Now, that report also said there was nothing close, more so just checking in. So allow me to do everyone a favor here and tell you what happened. I will read between the lines, something I think I'm quite good at. The Niners probably did check in with Clowney, hoping, well, hey, what if we offered him like a 1-year, $5 million deal? Maybe his price has dropped significantly. It hasn't. Clowney's demands remain significantly high, although, boy, I'll tell you, the Niners somehow getting Clowney would be fascinating. Because you have Nick Bosa, have Dee Ford, you have Kinlaw, you have Eric Armstead. The Niners love to throw assets at that defensive line and add impact players. It's a fun idea. I don't think it happens because the Niners, like mentioned previously, have to pay George Kittle. They got somebody more impactful, more important to their team that is waiting for a big-time contract. I don't think George Kittle would be very happy if he's asking for, let's just say, $15 million, and the Niners go, yeah, Clowney, here's 12. Yeah, it's not going to go over very well. Now, Clowney, of course, has been heavily linked to teams like the Titans and the Seattle Seahawks. But let's focus in on those two NFC West teams. Who is more likely to sign Clowney? Type SF if you think it's the San Francisco 49ers, or type SEA if you think it's Seattle. Of course, neither might end up signing them, but between the two, I'm going to go with Seattle. Jarran Reed now, who called a secret weapon by Bleacher Report. I don't really think secret weapons exist in the NFL at this point, but I get what they're going for. They weren't including all pros or Pro Bowlers, and I am cautiously optimistic that Jarran Reed will have a significant bounce-back season for the Seattle Seahawks. He was really good in 2018. 10.5 sacks, 12 tackles for loss. It's like, okay, boom, Seattle's got their next great interior pass rusher. He's going to be a factor for this team for a very, very long time. Then he gets suspended from part of 2019, is never the same guy on the field, gets re-signed, and now Seattle needs him. Because you look at the defensive line for this team, and Jamal Adams, a strong safety, is honestly the best pass rusher this team has right now. Now, if Jarran Reed can not even recapture his full 10.5 sack season, but if he can get you 7, that is super impactful. If you can get interior pressure, that will make life easier on an iffy secondary, at least the iffy corners beyond Griffin. It makes everything easier. So, secret weapon, I'm not sure. Hopeful impact player, yes, for Jarran Reed and for Seattle.